Yama no Tsuyuhikari. Tsuyuhikari is a cultivar that was made in 2003. It's a cross between Asatsuyu and one called Shizu 7132. Both of which I like. I like the Shizu more, but both are good. Um, it's pretty important tea for Shizuoka, and this particular one comes from Tenryu in the far western side, close to Hamamatsu City. I met these farmers at what do you call it, like the World Tea Fair in Shizuoka, just at the end of October, end of my trip, so October 20th or so. I haven't tried any of their stuff yet. I'm gonna start with this. I have high hopes. I've been drinking a lot of Ashikubo's tea um, in the past few days, so it'd be nice to have a change of pace. But yeah. To keep it fair, this is Sencha, and I'm not sure how it's processed, but we'll see that in a second, I guess. What I can say is the water is going to be like 60 Celsius. I'm going to make it at a ratio of 1 gram of tea is like 57.5 grams of water. Anyway, I'm using 5.7 grams of tea for this pot. It doesn't look like it's a deep steamed tea because of the integrity of the leaf. Yeah, it's very fragrant. I'll get to that in a second. Less fragrant from the cup, unfortunately. But yeah, let's see. Focus. Well, it has a kind of a cooling aroma. It's kind of reminiscent of Gyokuro in a way for me. It smells like blue-green, but yeah, I don't really get ton smell from the dry leaf. Like, I think some sencha in the past I've said like blue candy cane, and I think that's where this one's going. It's not really strong enough for me to say that, but it's like a mild version of that smell. So I'll cool down the water and then we can start. Uh, I know it's been covered before by like a million people, but there's one of the reasons why you don't want too high of a temperature for especially Japanese green teas is when they're grown in the mountains, they get a lot less sun than they would in like a flat field. So, I mean, that's what this character is in the top. Yama, mountain. Uh, you can expect certain things to be present in mountain tea that you wouldn't expect in like field tea. And one of those things is higher umami. Now, this cultivar, the Tsuyuhikari, is kind of like purpose built to have lots of umami, and growing it in the mountains would further kind of put it in that direction. But you could destroy all of that by using too high temperature water. So water temperature does many things, but there's a certain amino acid in tea. It's the one that gives this sense of umami. It's called L-theanine. If your water is, above 70 degrees Celsius, that chemical will be kind of like destroyed by the heat, and you won't be able to taste it in the way that you could if the water was just a little bit cooler. So what you can do is you have, for example, your teapots or whatever you may use to brew the tea in. And I mean, the water goes into this. This is pretty thin glass, so it loses heat pretty quickly, but this is still way too hot. We all have a different pain tolerance, but for me, when I can hold the water in my hands for, I don't know, good 5 seconds or so without pain, I know definitely it's not 70 degrees anymore, and we're pretty close to where we want to be. So while I won't measure the temperature, I'll say, yeah, when I brew it, it should be around 60. Anyway, it won't hurt me like this hurts me. Yeah, coming back soon. Now, dry tea leaves are really hard to smell. Sometimes, maybe more than others. But if you have this going on, where you got water vapor coming up out of your teapot, it's like super easy, especially if you're gonna coat it like so. Now, not like using the glass. I like to do this because this makes it so easy for me. It smells very creamy. It smells like, yeah, it smells like wheatgrass. There's a definite dry, like it's green grass, but it's drying, a withering grass smell. The leaf looks beautiful, though. Like, one of the things I would say you can look for is consistency of color. Um, this is basically just one color, which you could. I have a book on color. This would be referred to as dark olive, and that's just what I say. I mean, there could be lots of ways to describe this color. Anyway, let's say what we're aiming for is 45 seconds. So, yeah, I come back. So I like to brew tea in a way that's more similar to gyokuro. Not everyone likes to drink tea like that. Like some people want tea to be like normal tea, and so when I brew sencha, it's either like gyokuro or it's this way. This uses a lot more tea than you might need to, and the steeping time is short, like 45 seconds. So you're not going to pull out everything on the first steep, especially if you're not using boiling water. So you can really revisit these a lot, but the first pot still has like a ton of impact usually. So I would say it's a recommendation for me in general. For me these days, 1 to 57.5 for the ratio, about 50-60 degrees for water temperature, and about 45 seconds to steep. But the aroma is really mild and sweet. Nothing really pungent about it. You don't get the like edamame bean notes that you get out of a lot of Shizuoka teas, because a lot of Shizuoka tea is yabukita. Yeah, it smells easy drinking and enjoyable. The taste is really delicate. Um, like a lot of the tea that I've had today has been fukamushi, so deep steamed, and you get a lot more texture and richness. Maybe you could argue sweetness out of those teas as well. This is, by comparison, very light. But yeah, I would like just to say it's light and grassy. It's really not doing it justice, and that makes it sound really boring. I don't think that this is. But brewed this way, it's not super interesting either. I would reserve my final judgment for this until I try it in the way that I drink it, usually. The 1 to 10 ratio, about the same temperature, but then like 3 minutes to steep. I don't think there's anyone who would complain about drinking this, but I don't think this would change someone's life either. Lastly, I'll say 10 Ryu compared to like central Shizuoka, right above Shizuoka City, going up along the Abe River into areas like Tamagawa, Ashikubo, Umegashima, etc. I wouldn't drink Tenryu tea ever over those teas because I think that Honyama, which means central Shizuoka, is like the best. But I don't know. I have 5 more teas from this producer to be swayed into believing something new. And we'll see if we get there. But until then, ciao.